So, hello everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Coach Ed Show. The Coach Ed Show has really started off really strong, and we've had some awesome guests, and we've just been so honored to share their story. And today is no different. I have a tremendous young woman on the other end, actually halfway around the world, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Just so honored that she would come on. But the words that come to my mind when I think about her are positive, open, willing, resilient. I could go on, but when I think of Evelina, that is what I think of. She and I met in Huntsville at the University of Alabama Huntsville. Well, I'll let her talk about that a little bit more, but she has just been a light, honestly, to relationships that I've built with young people. I'm just so excited to share this Swedish wonder with the world. So welcome Evelina Gustafsson to the Coach Ed Show. Evelina, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
I am very happy that you are here. So why don't you just start off a little bit, just familiarize everyone with you, tell them where you are sitting today and, just where you're from, your family, sports you play, just our connection, just some basic things like that.
Yes, so as Taylor said, I'm from Stockholm, Sweden, and I grew up here with my twin sister and my older sister and my parents. And I started playing soccer when I was 6 or 7, maybe. And I didn't really like it. I practiced maybe once a week. I didn't think much about it. It was something I did. And then I think it was the Men's World Cup, 2014.
Okay.
And I watched it with my sister. And we were like, this is what we're going to do. This is it.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was amazing. I was like, this is so fun. And after that, I've loved soccer and I want to play all the time. And it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I started playing more soccer every chance I got. My club was amazing. I got to play with a lot of different teams. Used to play and play and play. It was great. And I started coaching soccer
Okay.
a lot, which was a lot of fun. And somehow I ended up in Alabama.
And skip forward, and here I am in Alabama.
Yeah, here we are.
Joined the University of Alabama Huntsville women's soccer team. That's where we met. And so, would you say that I almost say it's a cliche sometimes in English or in America where we talk about living your dream, like you had a dream to play soccer, what we would say is at the next level. But is that a similar story? Did you really have strong desires to want to continue to play at a higher level, or what was your motivation to come to UAH?
Yeah. I think when I graduated high school, I wanted to do a lot of different things. I wanted to travel, I wanted to play soccer, I wanted to study. And I think it was just the perfect mix of all of that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, got the traveling part under your belt.
Yes.
You've been to Kentucky. For all of the
Yeah.
Americans listening to this, that's an experience. And yeah, for academics and then for soccer, it's just coming all together. And for most of our American audience, that I don't think they really understand the levels of soccer. College soccer is a very normal next step for Americans that play soccer. But in Sweden, that's not the case, right? There's a whole different structure. There's a whole different organization for higher level soccer. Maybe you could just share just a little bit even in Sweden, what's the levels of, as you go to the next level of soccer, that it's not college, it's something else.
Yes, of course. First of all, soccer is totally separated from school, so you don't compete for your school, neither in high school or college. Basically, you just play in a club team, either U19 or the adult team, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Called. It's very different. It's basically used Division 5, Division 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it's Elitettan, and then it's Damallsvenskan, which is the highest league. I started Division 4, and then I've used Division 3, 2, 1, and then I got to college.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what is the reality of being able to play? Okay, you just said you moved up to Division 1. How realistic would it be to play at a Division 1 level, or even in that next to the top league that you mentioned that I can't pronounce? That how realistic would it be for you to play at that level and go pursue a higher education or a college education? How realistic would that be?
It would definitely be possible, but I feel like it's a lot easier to combine it in the US, since
Hmm.
it's like in the school. Here, I feel like you have to work a lot to make it work.
Hmm. Work a lot to make it work. That's a good statement. I like it. Yeah, that's good. Thanks for explaining that. Because again, I think a lot of our American audience don't really understand that the structure of playing soccer outside the United States is definitely different. Okay, so you came over in August of 23, so almost a year ago. You got on a plane and came to Huntsville. What was the biggest challenge for you moving to the U.S.? And let's break it into two different parts. Talk to me about athletically what was the challenge, and then talk about personally what was the challenge.
Okay, so athletically, it was really hard for me with like the temperature and the weather and the climate.
Mm,
Play soccer, it was a big change. Also, the like length of practices
okay.
um was new because in my experience in Huntsville, we had like really long practices, so like
Okay.
2 3 hours, maybe 2 hours, but like less intensity. And I'm used to short practices, like 90 minutes at most, and like more high
High
intensity.
intensity. Okay.
So that was different.
I think as we talked about too, there is a different style of play, and not one is better than the other. I mean, everybody has their own opinions of what they think is better than the other, but there was, from what I understood, the style of play was different. So that was another thing you had to get used to. Is that accurate?
Yes, I forgot about that. But yes, definitely. It's a lot more running, I would say.
Okay.
Or like a lot more like back and forth.
Okay, so you're having to adjust physically just from the weather, because anyone that doesn't know, maybe some of your friends are listening to this, or going to listen to this podcast back in Sweden. It's very hot in the fall. It's very humid in the fall. So just
Yes.
adjusting your body physically, and then you're extending your time that you're outside at practice, right, is another change. And then there's probably a little bit of a mental challenge of those two things, and you're trying to almost learn how to play the same game differently. Is that true?
Yes. And also like coming in, I know like I've heard of the different playing style, and it's basically all of my weaknesses. I was a little bit
Uh,
scared about that, but now when I'm here, I think it's great. Like maybe I do worse or something, but I feel like that's what I need to improve. So I think that's good.
I would say what you just described is is your mindset. If they weren't paying attention, you may want to roll that back and listen to the last 30 seconds of what she said, because she is a person that doesn't run from her weaknesses. She accepts them and tries to overcome them or improve them or change them. And that's when I said the word resilient in the beginning of this interview. That's what I heard. That doesn't mean that you don't get frustrated, right? It doesn't mean you've just got a smile about your face and you love to work on weaknesses, but you're willing to do it.
Thank
And I
you.
was so impressed with that. Okay, so that is some of the athletic challenges that were presented to you when you came here. Now, talk about some of the personal challenges that just moving to the U.S. Presented.
Yeah. So one thing that's very noticeable is that people are so friendly. I can just walk across campus and everyone like, "Hello, how you doing?" And that's really nice. Like I haven't really experienced that before, but that was a big change for me.
The first week that was happening, like, what did you think was going on?
I don't know. I felt like everyone was excited to start school or something, and like I don't know.
Wow. But you liked it. You like that was good.
I do, and that's really nice actually.
Okay.
But a
Well,
lot
if
of
that
like
was if that was your biggest challenge, then we'll take that every day, right? Everybody was so nice. That was such a challenge.
okay, maybe not a challenge. I think
It was a difference,
Mainly,
right? That was a
yeah.
difference. But talk to me about some of that. I want to go ahead and let you open up your heart a little bit and be vulnerable and share about some of the challenges of that.
Yes. So, number one, like maybe boring, but the language. Well, I've learned English in school for a lot of years, but still my second language and my accent is pretty strong. It was hard to like talk. Like,
Okay.
I feel like I avoided it sometimes used to not like sound weird or like say something wrong or something like that.
Yeah.
Everyone are very understanding and like trying to understand. It's
So
fine.
you found the difficulty in speak, not so much being around people and listening, but when you had to communicate.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And like I just didn't know anyone or anything, which was difficult, but it just takes time, I think. You just have to have some patience. But like you think moving somewhere that like it will be kind of the same, but like literally everything is different.
Hmm.
Takes time to learn.
Would you say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth or in your mind, but would you say in the beginning you were a little bit lonely?
Yeah, it was great having a team around me because it made it a lot easier to meet people, but still you don't like actually know them like until you've been with them for a while.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely that's a big
Yeah.
thing, I think.
Yeah. Just the relationship. So if we could just put it in a word, just the biggest challenge would just be relationships and adapting to a new environment. So we're going to let you share your experience. How about that? That's a much more straightforward way to say pick your brain. So I want you to share both athletically and personally. So now you had those challenges, you've navigated those challenges. You are you're coming back in the fall, and you've really started to embrace this new season of your life. What is some advice that you would give? I was going to say international students, and absolutely, but I'm thinking some of the advice that you could share applies for someone that may be moving from a long way away from home, even in the United States. So, what is some advice that you would have for incoming freshmen or people transferring to the United States to help them navigate those challenges?
I think first of all, like no matter where you can like come from, it's very common to like judge the culture, especially if it's like very different than your own. Like before you actually try to experience it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I've noticed like talking to people from home, like, oh, I'm going to Alabama, everyone like, what? Why?
yeah.
And so I think it's just different. So I think it's important to like be open minded and you excited, I guess, to
Okay,
like try
yeah,
things and like
sure.
talk with people about things. So I think that's a big thing. Also, everything will probably be like new and weird and difficult. I think it's not like not be afraid to like ask for help,
Mm,
no matter if it's like asking a teacher about like a math problem or like asking a teacher or a friend about like an English word or like getting a mentor or like counseling or whatever. I think that's can be very very helpful. I think people have high expectations about like, oh, I'm gonna live my dream life,
mhm.
and maybe that could be good, but it could also make you disappointed.
Right, right.
And similarly, like it's very easy to compare your own experience with other people's, which I think is dangerous because you will always just see the good parts and like the nice days. But yeah,
I think that was great. So, what I heard you say is first thing is don't prejudge, don't
yes,
judge in advance what things
yes,
something's going to be. I would even say good or bad. Like be excited, be positive about it, but don't prejudge, even like this is going to be great and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Be excited about it, but don't set your expectations too high that no one could achieve that. I think I heard you
hmm,
say that. So don't
yes,
prejudge. The next thing was you said, don't be afraid. Man, I tell you, that's universal language. That is global language right there. I don't care what language is your native language. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid of your situation. You're stronger than you think you are. Like you can do it. Just don't be afraid and don't let fear be a barrier to you, especially,
Yeah.
as you come to the U.S. Like, don't be afraid. Exactly. I love connecting with all kind of people, but I especially love connecting with international students to help give you bridge, help give you a friendly voice and encouragement as you make this transition. So yeah, don't prejudge and don't be afraid.
Yes. I
Yeah.
have one more thing that I came up
Please,
with.
please,
But
yes.
as I said, everyone are like super friendly, at least what I've experienced. But like I think it's super easy to like get to know people like not much. Like you say hi when you walk by them, but you don't like stop and talk. And I know I talked with you about this a lot, but I think it's really important to actually like connect like deeper with some people because it's easy to have like a lot of people around you, but like they don't really know, I guess.
Yeah, we did talk about that a lot. I believe that's another global, universal challenge for the where we are right now. I won't even say young people. I'll just say people of all generations right now. We don't stop to go deeper, to connect. Well, let me say it this way. We have a lot of surface level
Yes.
relationships. Yeah. I know Evelina's from Sweden. I know that she plays soccer. I know she's 19 years old. I might know that she has a twin, maybe. I don't even know how many of your teammates, maybe they do now, but the
Yeah.
first semester, how many of them knew you had a twin? I don't know, maybe three, four,
Something like
maybe.
that.
So whether they knew you had a twin sister. And I would be surprised if any of them knew that your dad was battling and really overcoming cancer back at home. So he was going through treatments. That was something you shared with me. Obviously, getting on a plane and coming to the United States and leaving your family. And I know how much you love your father. Like, that weighs on you, I'm sure. Would that be true?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. If we don't get to know each other on a deeper level, to know deeper things about each other, we can't really understand how to help and support and encourage each other. And so, again, to reinforce what you said, and I'm so glad you brought it up, that it's so important. You don't have to tell everybody everything, but you need to tell somebody some things. Does that make sense?
Good quote. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. Do you have any athletic advice to just navigate, the challenges that you faced athletically when you got to the U.S.?
It will always be a very big change of like playing style and like coaching style and training style and everything. Pretty much the same there as the culture. Like, don't judge it. Like, it's just different. Like, it can
Hmm.
sometimes seem worse because you choose to something and you choose to like, this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's similar there. You just try it and it will probably be good in other ways, I guess.
Yes. It'll probably be a lot easier if you try to align with it rather than fight it.
Yeah.
So that's good advice. Okay, so one of the things also about you over this past year is I think you grew a lot as a person. Would you say you did?
Yes, I would.
So why don't you share some ways that you think you grew just as a person over the last year?
Yes. I feel like you maybe made me like think about stuff that I haven't really been thinking through before.
Okay.
Uh, which I think of because I feel so like wise.
You are wise.
Thank you. But I feel like just that has helped me like understand what I think is important and like why I'm doing stuff.
Mm.
And I think that's been very helpful.
Is there an example, just so, like, that's beautiful, and you're so right that I saw that in you too. But was there an example of something you mentioned about what was important? But was there one particular thing that stands out that maybe you were one way, and then there was a topic that you thought differently about, and you feel more wise?
Yes. So we talked a lot about soccer as a season
Mhm.
builder, if you remember. I think you asked me at one point, like, what's your goal? And I was like, I want to play in that league. I want to do that. And you were like, but why? And I was like, I don't know. So I think that's what a big, like, eye opener for me. And if I remember correctly, we talked about, like, maybe the purpose of me playing soccer isn't to like play in that league or like get that good, or like more like to create like a platform for me to like influence other people in a good way. So that was a huge change for me.
I remember us having that conversation. And you're so right. You have great memory too. Not only are you wise, you have great memory. That yeah, that wanting to play at the highest league and be the greatest player is great, right? That's fine. That's a wonderful ambition, but the whole purpose, as you mentioned that word, is not for us, it's for others. How can I create a platform so I can inspire? How can I help? How can I serve others? That was my perspective. And I think maybe that connected with you a little bit.
Yes, definitely did.
Let's talk more about that. Up until that conversation, what was the primary driver of you wanting to be that top player and play in that top league?
Like honestly, I don't really know. That's the honest answer.
I
But
know.
I think it's like the basic stuff. Like, I wanted to prove that I'm like good enough or something.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I
I
actually don't know.
No, I think that is so profound, Evelina. I think a lot of people, maybe even listening to this right now, they're trying to reflect and they can't answer that question either. They don't
Yeah.
know. And I have a hypothesis. That's a good word. I bet you like that word. Hypothesis, very direct word. I think that's just what culture tells you you're supposed to do. You don't really consider it yourself. You just that's what social media tells you should do. And even for parents, as I'm a parent, we all have aspirations for our children to do great things, but if we're not careful, we can make it about the destination and not the purpose of the destination. And so you just think, well, I'm supposed to get there. It reminds me of another little story that you are trying to climb the ladder. So you can imagine I'm trying to climb the levels of success. I'm trying to go league 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, this league. Then you get to the top league and you think, yes, I've arrived. And you look around and you realize you've been climbing the wrong ladder the whole time. Like you got to the top of the ladder, you leaned it up against the house you thought was going to provide you the satisfaction, the fulfillment, the happiness. And all of a sudden you get to the top of the ladder and you realize, my goodness, I've been climbing the ladder on the wrong house the whole time. I got to the top. This isn't meaningful. And I think,
Also, I
yes,
think you mentioned that like if I reach that level, like what am I doing then? Like, because I will always want to get higher, get a higher level, and so like there's no stop, which is weird because it doesn't really work then.
you're right. This moment in time, people that are listening or watching this online, and as we're having this conversation live, you just captured my whole purpose. My whole purpose is to help younger people realize something that I learned much later, and it's to realize you can climb the ladder, but you'll never get it. It's like I'm not a very big goal person. You've heard me say that before,
Mhm.
because every time you reach a goal, it feels great for a moment, but then you're like, now what? Like there's this constant striving that you never find satisfaction and fulfillment because you think you've always got to achieve the next level. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
no,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yes.
why don't we make our life about something of meaning and purpose and making a difference in other people's lives, and we can add up these experiences and these relationships, and they become like if we were a boat and we were looking back and we saw the waves back behind it, we could just see all of the positive impact by what we're doing happening rather than just looking back and just seeing nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. I could stop this conversation right now. My heart is so full to hear you say that. So I hope that's been beneficial to someone else listening, because it sure has been beneficial to me. So
And
yeah,
to
so
me,
you grew. I think there's a word you and I used, perspective. You
yes,
really gained a lot of perspective. Would you agree with that?
yes. I think that's the maybe the biggest thing, actually.
I want you to describe two things, because I want you to describe our our mentee relationship that we had. So just because I think I was having a conversation with another person, an international student, where mentoring and that really wasn't a thing in their country. And so people back in his country, when you say the word mentor, they don't even really understand what that looks like or what it is. So I don't know if it is or it isn't something in Sweden, but I would love for you to explain what our mentee relationship was like in your words.
It's great. It's like having a friend that won't judge you and that like actually know stuff that you don't and
I'm
help you
flattered.
with.
I know stuff.
Yeah. So I think it's really helpful and it's something everyone should have, no matter if it's like just in soccer or like in life or in school. I think it's very, very helpful. You get new perspectives,
Yeah.
like we talked about.
Yeah.
Especially like season builder, it's someone experienced, but you also like have seen like my journey, not like something similar before, which I think is good. And as you mentioned, like internationally in Sweden, I would say it's a much smaller thing than in the US. It's hard to find. It's hard to find a mentor. And like just coming to the US, I've had a lot of opportunities to get a mentor, which is crazy because I have never really had that before. I've had coaches and stuff that I've been able to talk with, which has been great, but not like a program like this.
Yeah. A structured way for you to express your thoughts and feelings and desires, and then get someone else's perspective to help you get where you want to get.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. How would you describe those weekly meetings that we had?
It was like a little life update. The part that I remember the most is the action part of Season
Mhm.
Builder.
Yeah.
I selected like actions, specific actions to do. So when we met, you were like, "Oh, how did it go? How was it?" And I told you, and then like we discussed it, if it was good or bad. So it was like a little recap and like talking about things we need to talk about.
So I always used to say the failure weeks were my favorite. So whenever the actions wouldn't go so well, what was your perspective on those weeks where you came up short? Did you feel nervous about coming and sharing about your shortcomings or the things that didn't work out, or were you kind of excited to kind of talk about that?
I was actually kind of excited. I felt like you didn't judge me and that you were like happy about it.
Yeah.
So it was actually good because I felt like we could talk about it more if
Yeah.
it didn't work out really.
And you would learn more, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's we learn much more from our failures and our shortcomings than we do our successes and our victories. And not to say that we don't need to celebrate those victories, and we did. We celebrated your victories too, but it's such a good thing to be able to non-judgmentally and productively talk through
Yeah.
the challenges of the week. What are the benefits of not only having a mentor, but having what I would say the season builder framework and our relationship to your life? What's the benefits of having a season builder mentor?
I think it makes it so much easier to have like a framework to work with. For me, it felt like we always knew the next step. I felt motivated to like keep going
Mm-hmm.
and to do all stuff because I felt like it was planned and like you knew exactly what you were doing and like
Mm.
it was great. And like even now afterwards, I feel like I can like if I want something, I can be like, okay, this week I'm gonna do this, and then it it feels easier. It feels like I can overcome it, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah. So it
So
really has helped equip you with some tools to even process through what now you're back in Sweden, you're involved in your club team, you have some challenges we talked about before we started recording. So you even now that you may be using some of the things that you learned in Season Builder to cope with your challenges that you're facing now.
yes, exactly. It's like it's very helpful going through season builder, but it's also like stuff you can use afterwards uh, by yourself or like with you, but not in the program.
Right, right. Okay. I'm just curious. I give you full permission to be completely honest. How effective do you think Season Builder would be in Sweden?
I think it will be great. Like as I said, it's not as easy to find anything like season builder. So people would maybe be like curious but also like scared at first, I think. But I think actually like knowing what it is, I think it would be really helpful. A great resource that we don't really have or that we don't have like accessible.
Accessible, yeah.
I actually think it would be very effective. Maybe
So
even
the
more effective than in the US, since we don't really have anything like that.
wow, that's such an interesting comment that it might even be more effective there because it's something yeah brand new. It may be it's a topic that's known here in the United States, but to really introduce a new way of approaching personal growth by having
Yeah.
an older person help you with it that's based on you. I think one of the things that's different that Season Builder is not about what I know and trying to get what I know in you. It's about you bringing up the things that you want and me walking with you and grow where you need to grow, not where I want you to grow. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I feel like a lot of mentoring programs are like these five things are important and you have to do them. But yeah, I agree. It was really nice. Like I felt like you can make season build like exactly what you want.
What was the most helpful part?
The most helpful part is having someone that like can understand what you're going through, look at it from another perspective that you don't really have because you're like in it. I think that's it.
How has your life and your perspective changed over the last year?
So I think it's very easy to learn about other cultures. Like in school, you're reading, you're watching stuff, and you think you understand it. But like actually going there, you get such a different view. And like you don't just understand what they're doing, but you also understand like why stuff is the way they are. Living in the US has giving me like a lot of different perspective on like everything, to be honest. Not just soccer, but like a way to live.
When you say a way to live, what would be an example of maybe a way you thought before you came to the U.S. that this was the way to live, but now experiencing, and it's not just the U.S. It just happened to be this season of your life of change and growth. But what now is a maybe a different perspective of the way to live a life that you didn't have before?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about religion
Okay,
in general. Like, because I'm not religious at all,
right.
and I've used to view it as like something people do that's like good for them, but like I'm very far away from it.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
and coming to a very religious place, I've more of understood like why people are doing it. If
mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
It does. It does.
And like I've learned to like appreciate it more, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's not just like Christianity, but like religions in general,
Mm-hmm.
lifestyles in
Mm-hmm.
general. I think just experience different cultures and religions and lifestyles. It's just really helpful to like for you to like pick out the parts that you like. I think it's good.
Great. Well, Evelina, this has been fantastic. I'm so thankful that you took a Swedish afternoon to jump on and talk to everyone about your experiences. You're just so open and honest and such a light and a positive person. Is there one last word of encouragement or advice that you would have for another college athlete? Let's just speak international because I really want to focus this podcast around the international aspect. But what is one last word of encouragement that you would have for an international athlete coming to the United States to get the most out of their experience?
Just enjoy and try new things and don't be afraid.
Try new things and don't be afraid.
Yes,
I
something like
like
that.
it. Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for listening or watching Coach Ed's show. I just want to remind you that to go back and listen to our previous episodes. We've got great topics such as mental health, We've got topics about the challenges of coaching, just a lot of episodes that you can go back and listen to. And also the Coach Edge app. We didn't even talk about it very much on this conversation, but it is a free app for you to get perspectives and ideas and advice from me, but in a virtual format. So you can find that at coachedge.seasonbuilder.org. We'll put that in the comments below. And I will just plug that it speaks your language, not metaphorically, but physically. It speaks over 130 languages. So I know Evelina has used it in Swedish. She's helped me use the Coach Edge app in Swedish. And so, again, thanks again, Evelina. So glad that you could be on the Coach Edge show today.
Thank you. It's been
All
great.
right.